Repetition. It's a simple thing, but something about it is just so attractive to video game players. Some games just have these hooks that just have the player craving more. Most games it's within the gameplay. In Destiny, the hook is the gameplay loop of shooting bad guys, seeing heads explode and numbers flash, and grabbing new loot. Some people like myself don't get caught in the loop, but there are some that absolutely get wrapped up into it. Some invest thousands of hours into Destiny just because the repetition is so satisfying to them. The new games as services model has made so much money last year by hooking players in so they stick around and continue to pay more money. And goddamn does PUBG have me hooked. I mean, holy shit, I didn't know what I was getting into. I mean, I knew everyone online has been raving about it, but I'm not a PC gamer, so I didn't get my chance until it was released for Xbox One. And I can say now, I see why everyone loves this game so much. I have so many games that I want to finish, but all I want to do is play more PUBG. It's insane. The only games I've played in the past 3 years that have hooked me like this are Breath of the Wild and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and damn am I excited to talk about it. PUBG is a survival shooter that just recently got its official release on PC. The game has been out for a while, but was still in early access, and it's still in early access on the Xbox One, which is the version I will be discussing. Also, I say survival shooter, but I don't really know what to call it really. They really created their own genre. I don't think there has ever been a game similar to this one. If you don't know by now, PUBG places 99 players inside of a giant map, and the last player alive is the only winner. Everyone drops in from a plane that takes a randomly generated route each match. Players can drop wherever or whenever they want. Every match, weapons, ammo, and armor are randomly scattered throughout buildings in the map. So you might drop and get lucky with some awesome gear, but you also might get screwed. It is totally random. Also, the kicker is you can hide, but you will eventually have to fight other players because there is a diminishing circle on the map at all times. If you are outside the circle, then your health will diminish as well, so you might be the winner and only have one kill. Now back to the repetition I was discussing earlier. The gameplay loop of dropping in, grabbing weapons and armor might be the most addicting aspect I've ever played in a video game. Of course, the better gear you have, the better opportunity you have to win the game. So you are incentivized to explore and be a little daring so you can have an edge. Every match, I know that the worst place to be is out in the open because I'm such an easy target. But what if that building has a level 3 armor? Or an assault rifle? I need it. In my experience with the game, finding the right weapons is absolutely crucial to me. So the anticipation of running up to some buildings not knowing what I'm going to find is just thrilling. There could be some sweet gear in there, or another player could be waiting for you so he can steal what you have. You don't know, but that's what keeps bringing me back. The absolute randomness of each match is what I love. The suspense of each match is unparalleled. I mean, it has to be. A single match could take 35 minutes. When games take this long, there has to be something that keeps the player engaged the whole time, because when the map is so huge, sometimes you won't run into many other players. So in some matches, I won't see another player for 20 minutes. But there is always that lingering feeling that you can get shot at any moment, and that's what carries the suspense the entire game. Don't leave that building because you could get shot. Don't run to the next building because you could get shot. Don't do anything because guess what? You could get shot. This game makes me want to do everything and nothing at the same time. It's truly something. And when you are down to the last 5 players, the suspense is heightened by 1000%. Nothing is worse than knowing you're standing right next to 4 other players, but have no idea where any of them are. I'm on the edge of my seat the entire game, until I get shot in the back for the 3rd match in a row and throw my controller at the wall. And guess what I do? That's right, I just boot up another game. No matter how I die, it could be my fault or the terrible Xbox One version's fault, I always go back for more. Speaking of the Xbox One version, there is some stuff that needs to be addressed. Yes, it is unfinished. When you drop into the game, buildings won't be rendered, frame rates are extremely choppy in some areas, and my main issue was crashing out of the game. You could be having a great game, maybe you have gotten a couple kills, got some sweet gear, then suddenly, boom, the game crashes and you're back at the dashboard. It totally can ruin the experience of the game. Now, as of the day I'm writing this, a patch has been released that looks like it addressed many of these issues. So hopefully when I hop back into the game, many of these problems have been fixed. but the game is still in early access, so if you're a person who gets easily frustrated with frame rates and stuttering, then I would recommend you wait to pick this game up. Now the last thing I would like to discuss is maybe the coolest aspect of the game. There are some games I like to refer to as water cooler games. Games that you just need to discuss with others based off your experiences. Breath of the Wild was highly praised because you developed your own stories in the gameplay. Many problems could be solved with what seemed like an infinite amount of solutions. And you're always solving problems in Breath of the Wild, even if you don't know it, whether it is from exploration or combat. Can't cross a large body of water? Maybe build your way across with your ice block mechanic. Maybe try to glide over from a high vantage point with your paraglider. Maybe you could find a boat to float across. Same thing goes for the combat mechanics. Ran out of weapons? Use your bow and arrow. Don't have any of those? Then use your bombs. Or just pick up a nearby box and smash enemies over the head with it. Breath of the Wild does a great job of providing different individual experiences to each player, which enables you to develop your own stories just from the gameplay. PUBG does the exact same thing. Just the other day, I was playing with a few of my buddies, and we thought we were screwed. We dropped in what seemed like the worst possible spot. We barely found any gear and were extremely far from the circle. We had found a vehicle at the last second and just made it within the circle. We decided to raid a couple buildings we stopped at, and an entire team was waiting inside for us. We luckily cleared the room and were able to pick up their gear. One thing led to another, and my friend accidentally shot and killed me, and my buddy somehow won the match with only a couple shots left in their pistols, even though they were outnumbered 4-2. This is my story I developed from my own match. Nobody wrote this or developed this. This is my own individual story that I made purely through the gameplay. Now I'm not one that gets down on a game for its linear progression. Video games will always have a spot for linear games, and they should. They can deliver gameplay and stories in a way that online or open worlds cannot. You don't really see many scripted action sequences better than what Naughty Dog does with their linear Uncharted games. And I don't think Journey would have been as impactful as it was if it was an open world game. But what these games don't provide that games like Breath of the Wild and PUBG do are your own individual stories. Your own crafted experiences that maybe nobody else in the game have done. And that to me is what makes PUBG so incredible. Repetition, suspense, and the ability to craft your own individual experience are defining features to PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. The game does a wonderful job of keeping the player engaged throughout each match. Looting buildings and finding gear not knowing if you will find weapons or other players is as addictive as anything I've played in a very long time. If you have an Xbox One, I would highly recommend picking this game up. The game is $30, but remember, it is still in early access, so again, if you are one who will be frustrated with an incomplete game, then maybe wait a bit before purchasing. But if you do decide to pick it up, then you are in for a gaming experience unlike any other. Thanks for watching. As I talked about earlier, players will develop their own stories in PUBG, so I would like to hear yours in the comment section below. If you liked the video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.